Hey everybody, real quick before we dive into today's episode, I want to let you know that I'm doing a giveaway here on this podcast. So one of you can win a $50 Amazon gift card. What do you have to do to enter this giveaway? All you have to do is to leave me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. And here's how you can do it. So open your phone, open the podcast app, go to my show, and there is a purple clickable link. You click on that, then scroll all the way down until you see ratings and reviews. And leave me a 5-star rating, leave me a review, and one of you will win that $50 Amazon gift card. I will announce the winner on the last episode in October. So good luck, and here is the show. Hey everybody, this is Kirsten here. Thank you so much for joining me for this new episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends and family. And if you're listening to it on Spotify or iTunes, also please share. And as you heard already at the beginning of this episode, I am doing a giveaway and giving away $50 Amazon gift cards. So make sure that you follow the instructions in the intro of this podcast and you can win the gift card. So today we're going to talk about the difference between boot camps and actual strength training. And I want to say that most of these podcasts, most of the topics that I cover here, as well as the posts that I do on Facebook or Instagram or wherever I am, are inspired by the conversations that I have with my clients or followers or sometimes friends or family members who have asked my advice about a specific thing related to health and fitness, whether it is macros, just nutrition more in general, rest recovery, training, and so on. So they're always inspired by something. And sometimes I also put up a question box on Instagram. I typically record these podcasts on Tuesdays. So on Tuesday mornings or sometimes Monday evenings, I put up a question box on Instagram. So if you want to hear me talk about a specific topic, then please type something in there that you want me to hear talking about, because that way I can help you even more. So today's episode is inspired by a conversation that I had with one of my friends when I was actually back home in Estonia. And I was talking to this friend, and she has often had problems with her weight, kind of on and off. She has lost some, gained some, lost some, gained some, but hasn't really been able to keep it off. And she told me that it has been really hard, which I absolutely understand. And she says that, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing the strength training, and I think I'm doing the nutrition right, but things are not changing. They're not. Just nothing is happening. And so when I started asking more about the training part, she said that yes, I am training with weights, and I am actually working out very similarly to what I did in one of these classes that you taught me when I visited you in California. So I don't know how many years ago this was, maybe 5 years ago. She visited me, and I was still in California. I was teaching boot camps. And yes, she came to one of my classes, and I've said that before too, that boot camps can be super fun. And back then, this is what I knew. I was a new trainer. I just thought that doing things, just more stuff, and with higher intensity and more exercises, and giving people as little rest as possible is the way to properly train. But really, I didn't know what I know now. And I think it's okay. We all evolve and we get better, hopefully at least. And I will say that what I knew then was like something that I'd absolutely not do today. Maybe with certain people, if they have different goal, I might, if they need conditioning, something like that. But if women want to lose body fats and have this nicer physique, a more lean body composition, kind of like what Stephanie talked about in the previous episode. Go check it out if you didn't yet. Then we have to do things differently. And I totally understand what she meant when she said, hey, I've been working out and I've been doing things similarly the way we did back then. And I was feeling like, oh my goodness, I want to change this for you. I want to teach you the better way, because she's not following all the time what I'm doing on social media. And I just felt like, yes, I wish I had done things differently. But so basically what I wanted to talk about today is that even though boot camps and strength training both use weights, not all training with weights is true resistance training, right? It's not true strength training. So you can use weights for so many different types of training. You can do boot camps, what we're going to talk about today. You can even use weights for actually stretching. You can use them for mobility. So there are so many ways you can use weights. But if we want to talk about real, true, and effective strength training, these weights have to be used differently. And this is where the difference comes in between the boot camps and strength training. And today I'm going to tell you what are the biggest differences between these two modalities. And these differences are exactly the reasons why they produce different results. So like I said, some people might benefit from boot camps, and I absolutely understand if sometimes it's the social aspect of it. Your friends are going, you want to go with them, and this is really the only way you go and move your body. Otherwise, you wouldn't go at all. I think this is a nice start if it gets you started on this fitness path, and I've seen a lot of people do that. But after a little while, we have to start transitioning into this different type of training, which is more structured, actual, true strength training. So what are then the differences between boot camps and this type of effective strength training that really gets you the results? Well, the first thing I want to say is the pace, right? So in bootcamp class, you typically move very, very fast, right? You do your reps, you get out of breath, and then you move on to the next exercise. So a lot of times it is a quick circuit, and it's all about getting as much done in this amount of time that you've been given, versus in a effective strength training program, you move a lot slower. So there, it doesn't really matter that you've got a million reps and that you're super out of breath. Let me be clear, you will be out of breath if you do strength training properly, because you push really heavy weights, so that will get you out of breath. But the out of breath doesn't come from moving so fast, right? So this is a big difference. Bootcamp is very fast paced, and strength training is much slower, or at least should be if you want it to work. Now, this brings me naturally to the second point, which is that in bootcamp class, you hardly ever rest, right? So you're moving fast. You just finished one exercise. Maybe you get 10 seconds between the two stations, and then you go and pick up the next weight. Or sometimes even not. Sometimes you actually continue with the same weight. You just don't get any rest and just keep going. Now, the difference, how effective strength training is different, is that you'll actually rest. And in my programs, I mostly, in most cases, tell people to rest at least 1 minute between the sets. But to be honest, I would prefer you to rest even longer in certain phases of the workouts. So when we're talking about pushing close to our, personal best, sometimes doing deadlifts, you may want to rest up to 5 minutes. And I know that this can sound like absolutely nuts. It can sound like a waste of time, but it is not. And why is it not a waste of time? Is that this time when you rest is designed you to get, recover, so that you can now lift heavy again. When you don't rest, you cannot lift as heavy as you just did in your last set. So if you want to really maximize your results and challenge your muscles so that you can maximize your results, you need that rest. So I say minimum, it's 1 minute really, but it can be up to 5 minutes when you're lifting really heavy. You never get this type of rest in a bootcamp class. When do you ever rest 5 minutes? No, because people are there in a class and they want to get their money's worth, right? And they're like, I'm not coming here to sit around, do nothing. So it's just not the nature of a bootcamp class. Now, the next thing is that bootcamp classes typically have a lot more different exercises versus a strength training plan, which has less. So in a typical bootcamp class, if it is like a stations type of circuit or something, there can be 10 or even more different exercises per class, right? And again, you move fast, you do one thing, you do the next, you do the third and fourth, and so on. And sometimes we get this impression that the more you do, the more different things you do, the better it is for you somehow. But it actually is not the truth at all, because do a little bit of something without maximizing anything. Now, this is how strength training is really different. And in a typical strength training plan, you will have, I would say, max 8 exercises, but most of them even less. And I will say that you can even have a really, really great workout when you do just 3 exercises. I did something like this. I finished this program maybe 3 months ago, where I did exactly that. I had 3 exercises per workout. And at the end of this program, I repeated my squat personal best, and I got a new personal best for my deadlift and my bench press. So I added some pounds there. So this cannot happen if you have like 17 different exercises in a bootcamp class. And in a bootcamp class, the emphasis is not on that anyway. It's not, pushing your body and seeing how much you can lift. It's just there's no time for it. Everything's so fast paced. But now, yes, with strength training, you don't want to have so many exercises that you do just a little bit of something, but it's like doing not much of anything. So I would much rather have you do 3 to, let's say, max 8 exercises per workout, so that you actually feel them. It doesn't have to be like 15 different things. The muscle confusion is a myth. You don't have to confuse your muscles at all. No, you have to train your muscles. It's not about confusing them. You have to train them consistently and do your repetitions, do 3-4 sets of them, get better, right? Get better at them with no focus on getting just through them somehow. Now you want to do them with really good skill and focus and get better at them. Okay, so the next thing that is different between boot camps and strength training is that in boot camps you typically use lighter weights. And this is because of many reasons. So one of the things is that a lot of times where you're teaching, there's just not enough different weights. I've definitely been in this situation myself as a trainer, that there's just, you have 20 people in a class, and maybe only like 5 sets of 15-pound dumbbells, and they have a couple of 20s, and then the rest 8s and 10s, right? So that could be one of the limiting factors. The other limiting factors that keeps the weights light is that, because the speed is so fast, you go from one exercise to the next, you just don't have the time to switch to heavier weights. So that's one of the things. And overall, again, because the focus is to do as many reps usually as possible quickly, then you just feel like it's easier to do with lighter weights, right? Can you imagine a bootcamp class, like somebody doing heavy squats and then resting and sitting around for 5 minutes and doing heavy squats again? It just doesn't happen there. Versus in a really good strength training program, this is exactly what you do. You pick up a lot heavier weight, a lot heavier. And for a lot of women, they actually are able to lift much heavier than what they lift in a bootcamp class when they actually understand the importance of it, when they understand that, okay, I really got to push the weight now. And I see it in my Facebook group too, which, by the way, you can join. It's called Fit and Fueled. I would love to see you there. But I have a couple of ladies there who have told me that since joining this free Facebook group, they have now increased their weights like significantly. They used to do rows maybe with 15-pound weights, and now they're rowing 50s. So it really does make a difference, and your body will show that too. Okay, the next thing that is different is the number of reps. So we kind of talked about it already. In the bootcamp class, they're typically high reps, 20 plus, versus in a effective strength training program, you're typically doing less reps. Now, you may have a phase there where you are doing maybe 15 reps or so, maybe max 20, never more. At least I don't program it this way, and I haven't done too many programs myself where, actually I haven't done any programs myself where the reps are ever higher than that. And by the way, yes, I'm actually somebody else's programming my workouts. And the reason, I do the programming work so much that I want somebody to do this for me. So I'm using somebody else's service to do the programs, to write the programs for me. And also that way I avoid doing the things that are comfortable. I have to get outside of my comfort zone if I want the workouts to work. But whatever good strength program that I have ever done I've had a phase of, let's say, just 5 repetitions, right? And this is where you go really heavy. Sometimes it can be even 3, only 3 reps, right? But these reps are heavy reps. So you never see 3 reps in a bootcamp class. That would be like, why would I ever do that? Especially if we take into account that we typically have much lighter weights. We're not pushing ourselves with weights. So imagine that you have a really light dumbbell, you're doing rows with it. It's only 10 pounds because that's what was available. And then do 3 rows with it. It feels like absolutely nothing, and it does absolutely nothing. Or you do 3 squats with it. Versus if you were at the gym and doing your own strength training workout, you could maybe squat 100 pounds, maybe even 200 pounds, right? You can get stronger. You can get stronger all the time. So why would you do the squats with 10 pounds if you could do a lot heavier? So I will say that if you are currently lifting 10 pounds, then don't jump to 100 right now. Give yourself some time. But over time, you should be able to get better and better and stronger and stronger. And these lower reps are really important in your training program, because that way you train that real, true strength, which is exactly what changes your body composition. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about, what is different between a bootcamp and strength training, is that in a bootcamp, stuff is done for time, right? So you typically have like 30 seconds or let's say 1 minute of squat jumps or 1 minute of high knees or something like that. In a typical strength training program, you don't usually have that. There might be some things, for example, there might be like a plank hold or something like that, but it's not like all out, this crazy sweat producing, heart elevated type of thing. It just is not, this is not what a good effective strength training program is about at all. Because as you know, it's not about speed. It's not about doing as many things as possible. It's not about that at all. The focus is completely different. And that's why you don't find too many strength programs where you're doing a tons of things for time. Okay, now the next thing that is different between the bootcamps and strength training is circuits versus straight sets. So bootcamps typically use circuits, meaning that you have a station set up. There could be like 6 exercises, 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever, and you move from one to the next, right, until you do all of them. And this is quite uncommon, at least in a good and effective strength training program. You might do, let's say, a couple of supersets or trisets, which is 3 exercises in a row in a small circuit, but typically there's not more than that. But boot camps are using a circuit training a lot. And the reason why I'm not a big fan of them, if you have a muscle building and strength building goal and fat loss goal at the same time, is that when you are doing these circuits, your focus becomes, again, what we talked about before, getting a bunch of stuff done really fast without true focus, without truly pushing the weights. You are way better off doing straight sets, which means that you're doing 1 exercise, you're doing 3 or 4 sets of this exercise with your 1 to 5 minute break in between, and then you move on to the next exercise. This is way more effective for your muscle building goals and your fat burning goals and boosting your metabolism. It's like a huge difference. You have to understand this, that straight sets tend to serve you better if you have these goals. What else? In a bootcamp setting, you typically use more different tools. You can have, let's say, dumbbells and balls and balance balls and bands and all of them in that circuit that you use all the time. I would say in a typical strength training program, you have less of these, not always, but generally speaking, there are less, because I feel like boot camps are set up more so that they are supposed to be real fun, right? Things is supposed to vary all the time, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. People want that fun factor, but I always say that your workouts don't have to be fun, they have to be effective. This is what most people actually want. They want to see the result. Yeah, you can have fun, but have you tried how much fun getting stronger can be? And this is where strength training really comes in. This is where things get fun, when you start seeing, oh, I'm getting so much stronger. And also it translates into confidence, it translates into better body composition, so many health benefits, which is one of the next episodes that I'm going to do So you don't need to use 17 different tools. It's okay if you don't use a Bosu ball. It's okay if you don't have a balance ball. It's okay that you don't have, so many different things. Basically, you can do a really, really good strength workout with just a pair of adjustable dumbbells, which is exactly how I actually started when I started my true strength training journey. Let's put it that way. And this is perfect for the beginner. And I'm going to actually do another episode on what I would buy if I had a home gym. What is the order of priorities there? What would I get? And you can already guess what would be number one on that list. Okay, so we have a couple of other two more differences between boot camps and strength training. So the first one is that in a boot camp setting, there can be situations where you are encouraged to compare your results to others. For example, in certain bootcamp classes, you can see on big screens what everybody else's heart rate is, and you should keep yours higher. It becomes like a competition, or even without these screens, you can be like, oh, like I did, like, can I keep up with this person doing the squat jumps? It can get competitive, but it really doesn't matter if you want to get better muscle building and strength building results. You don't have to get competitive with others and do the same number of high knees as they did. It doesn't matter. What you want to do is to get stronger, focus on you only, right? You don't have to compare yourself to others. Like, people are at so different levels. It does not matter. So what is heavy for you might be not heavy for somebody else at all, and the other way around. So nobody has to compare yourself with. Just don't do that if you want to do the strength training in the right way. See if you can improve yourself. Of course, yes, you want to be better than you were 2 months ago, obviously. And this is where progressive overload comes in, right? So progressive overload means that over time you should be able to either lift heavier weights or use the same weight, but to be able to do more repetitions, for example, or slow down your repetition and still do it with a really good form with the same weight that you use for your faster reps. So all these things are examples of progressive overload. So of course you want to be able to progressively overload your body, but the competition is only with yourself, right? You don't need to know anybody else's heart rate. It's none of your business. It doesn't matter. It makes zero difference for you. So this is, in my opinion, totally unnecessary and just confusing. Okay, and the last thing I want to say, that in boot camps, the goal tends to be to just get people really exhausted. And I admit it, this is what I did too. As a trainer, as a coach, I was like, how can we get these guys really tired so that they really feel it at the end of the workout, And now I know that it doesn't matter. It's actually a sign of overdoing it. If you feel like complete crap, like exhausted, tired, don't want to do anything, have no energy for anything else anymore, you just overdid it. So after a good strength workout, how you want to feel is actually like, yes, I did challenge my body, I did challenge my muscles, but I still have energy to do stuff that I want to do, and I'm not super fatigued and beat up. So I feel good, and I'm going to take a rest day. Now I'm going to come back the next day, or the day after the rest day. So there are different, there are big differences between these two. And just because both boot camps and traditional strength training are using weights, it doesn't mean that it's exactly the same thing. And I will say that if you want to change your body composition, this is your number one goal. You want to lose body fat, you want to build muscle, you want to have better shape, you want to visibly see your muscles, then you're so much better off doing the strength training that I talk about on this podcast often. And these boot camps can be fun, they can be a social thing, yes, but they will not give you the results. And this is what I try to explain to my friend too, when she told me that, but I'm doing the things that you told me to do 5 years ago. And like, oh my God, I'm sorry. So I don't want to say that boot camps are useless. I'm not saying they're useless. I think any movement is useful, but some types of movement are more useful and will definitely give you better results. And I think, like I said, for beginners or just, getting somebody into fitness, boot camps can be great. Group vibe, the group energy, I still love it. I gotta say, I mean, I don't do any boot camps anymore. I don't teach them. I don't participate in them, but I will never forget how much fun it was as a trainer too, because the people who showed up, at least in my classes, were wonderful, and a lot of them I'm still good friends with. And you kind of build this like team vibe a little bit. And I remember we always had our classes on Saturday morning, and it's like the weekend feeling. It was kind of nice. It was really, really cool. And for people too, they haven't seen each other for like several days, and that's weekend they can hang out after the class. It's all fun. So I'm not in that way, I'm not like against these classes, but I would just say honestly that if you want to change your body, you should do strength training, traditional strength training. This will always be better than boot camps for that purpose. All right. I hope this episode was helpful and useful for you today. Let me know if it was. Leave your comments below, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.